Well, welcome to the Friday Bubble. Today we've come on location, and where better than one of the brilliant clos that's actually in the middle, well, on the edge of Reims. And Clement, I'm joined by the chef de cave of Pommery, and today we've got the joy of tasting the wine from where we stood. So 2004. Clement, how many years have you been making the Clos Pompadour champagne?
We are starting in 2002. First vintage is 2002. For me, first harvest is 2004 as vineyard manager at this time.
So you were the vineyard manager,
Yeah.
and you became chef de cave.
In 2017, it's a long process. I have entered the panel tasting in 2013.
Okay.
2004 is my first vintage as a vineyard manager here.
So you had a little bit of influence on this.
A little bit.
Now tell us a little bit about where we stood, because it's quite a big clos.
Yeah, I think actually it's the largest clos in Champagne. It's 25 hectares in the middle of France. First harvest here, we have evidences of harvest in 1896, but the first vintage that we have separated and released is 2002, because before this wine were entering the other Pommery cuvée. So 2002 is the first. The idea of the clos is to make a vintage every year, so we will test the current vintage 2004.
And when you came here, were you able to taste these wines? Excuse me. Were you able to taste these wines as Vin Clair and see them as independent wines right at the beginning?
Yes, we separated, of course, every year. It seems like a large clos, but you have to understand that we are separating each, I would say, elementary plot. We have more than 25 elementary plots here, and we are separating everything. We are making wine in both stainless steel tanks and ceramic eggs, but the idea to separate everything, and after we can make a blend, which is a mix of a wine grower blend and a winemaker blend.
And is this Chardonnay? Is it Pinot Noir?
It's mainly Chardonnay because it's really the representation of the real planting here. So we have 75% of Chardonnay, 20 of Pinot Noir, and 5 of Meunier. So it's the same blend here.
Now, when I first smell this, the aromatic I get actually is Chardonnay.
Yeah.
You get that beautiful. Now, 2004 was that joyful vintage.
It's an amazing vintage. Of course, coming after 03, which was a nightmare.
Right.
Here it was 80% of frost. It was terrible, and 2004 it was just a huge yield and a huge quality. So I think 2004 is a good example of what we don't read in the book. You can make huge quality, amazing quality with quite a comfortable yield.
And here in the Clos, did you have these really good yields as well?
Yes. If you have it's very interesting to compare 03 and 04, because 03 we had probably 2.5 thousand kilos an hectare, and
right.
in 2004 it was between 18,000 and 20,000 kilos, which is not normal at all.
Right.
But nature, you have to take what nature gives you.
Now, when I smell this, I'm amazed. I almost think it's Blanc de Blanc. And 70%, did you say, is
75%.
75.
Yeah.
There's some of that beautiful Magnum effect, and you know, that little bit of reductive smoky charm. What are you seeing on there?
It's really the Magnum effect, but there is something special here in the Clos. We have a kind of reductive aging. I don't know why, but it's probably linked to the terroir, to the chalkiness here. You have 30 meters of chalk. The vines are very old, more than 50 years old, very deep in the chalk.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably gives the wine a really mineral aspect.
Right.
But give this kind of reductive.
There's a beautiful chalkiness I'm picking up on this, but the reductiveness is really charming.
Thank you.
So, is that unique to 2004, or is that?
No, I think it's really linked to the terroir. We will see with other vintages, but you have also a very nice creaminess, I think, in the wine.
And the dosage on this is relatively light.
It seems like very light. So,
Okay.
so again, in Pommery, we have a lot of minerality in the wine, so you can handle 8 gram. Here it's 8 gram of dosage without filling in at all. So that's the
So
idea.
the dosage seems completely lost.
Yeah.
It just, you can't tell if it's there or not.
It seems like an extra brut, but it's not. So
Right.
that's something very tricky with the dosage. It's difficult to guess when the wine is so deep, and we have also a lot of aging on this. So
And that's that toastiness. Because one of the things that I love on this is that it is a bit reductive, but it's also the lees.
yeah. It has been disgorged in 21, so you have 16 years almost on lease.
Right.
So that's
Now, in most clos, they often tell you the definition of a clos is, it's walled.
Yeah.
And it's warmer.
yeah.
Is that true here, or?
Yeah, it's true. You have a kind of microclimate, so it's a plot where we used to harvest first, always. But as we are looking for now highest ripeness, we are picking a bit later, but you can reach very high level of ripeness. Chaptalization is not a question,
Right.
it's not a point here. We are always reaching the 11 degrees of potential alcohol, all vintages, so that's really a special place.
Now, we're here in the second week of October.
Yeah.
When did you harvest this here in 2022?
We have started on the 31st of August.
Of
Yeah,
August.
yeah.
And so typically you'd pick here quite at the beginning of the harvest.
Yeah, quite at the beginning, and we have between 8 and 10 days of harvest.
Wow. Well, I was lucky to have a sneaky preview of these champagnes with you in Helsinki.
Yeah, you're right.
And that was back in May, I think.
Yeah.
And the 4 and the 3 was amazing. So I'm going to,
You have a free.
excuse me. We have the 3.
We have the 3.
So the thing that's I found really hard to believe is 2003 was one of those years, it was relatively hot. How was it for winemaking?
2003 was yes. You have two aspects in 2003. You have a low yield,
Right.
so for kind of concentrations on the yield, and you have also very sunny year, So the balance was not ideal, I would say. Yeah, I'm here. Not ideal balance. We were afraid of a lack of acidity. That's something strange. In great terroir, we had the same thing on Cuvée Louise 03. On great terroir, you have a kind of natural tension in the grand terroir and in the chalky terroir, but not depends only on acidity. So on 03, we have a real interesting balance, even with this concentration and this sunny weather.
Right. So yields were much smaller. Temperatures were
Much higher.
much higher. Can you remember when did you pick in 2003?
It was at the end of August, because you have to understand 03 was early. I think we started to pick around between the 15th and the 20th of August. At this time it was amazing. Now it starts to be quite normal to harvest on the 20th of August. But yes, it was at the end of August.
The amazing thing, I've just taken a little sip while you were talking.
Yeah.
This still has amazing freshness.
Yeah, right.
So you've got real ripeness. So the acidity would have, the malic acid would have really dropped away, wouldn't it?
In all 3 year, the malic acid is kind of burnt by the summer, so
Right.
you don't have so much
So you-
malic acid. It's the same, for example, in 22.
But you have still good freshness and
Yeah, it's what's something. It's strange on O3. It's you have this ripeness, but not too much ripeness. You have still citrus fruit notes, and you have something very fresh. I think it's really into the minerality and to the spine of the wine.
And is that because of what we're standing on? Is that
Yeah, I
because
think
of,
so. I think so. Yeah.
There's a really lovely minerality in this, and there is a bit more vinosity. You can feel that.
Yeah,
when,
it's much structure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more of that. I'm going to call it. We should go in the tropical notes. There's a bit of peach there's a bit of pineapple, there's a bit of guava.
Yeah, it's very complex, and we just open it, and I think in a couple of minutes it will just explode in different notes.
So I think one of the things I've learned in 10 years in Champagne is we mustn't generalize about the vintages, because when you taste the same wine from the same location, 2003 can be fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's an underestimated vintage because of the yield. Not a lot of people have made a vintage in 03, but the few that have achieved the goal to make a vintage in 03 are most of the time amazing.
And if you had a favorite today, I'm going to just quickly tippy-toe out of, I'm going to taste the 4, which definitely has more Chardonnay characteristic. There seems to be a little bit more red fruit in the 3. Where would you go on a favourite when we're on a sunny day in October?
It's 2 babies, you know.
They're 2 babies.
I think it's more minerality in 03, and it's more shocky driven in 03. But I will go for 04 maybe at this time.
So for the pleasure today, 2004.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for the pleasure in 5 to 10 years?
Probably.
2003. Thank you, Clement.
Thank you, Nick.
Here we are, Clos Pompadour at Pommery. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.